Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Independent Dollar. At one point or another, you've probably seen stories of people paying down their debt and retiring in their early 30s. But how did they do it? Extreme savings, frugal living, and avoiding debt whenever possible are just some of the strict habits that they live by compared to what we're accustomed to today. They also have a very clear understanding of exactly how much money they need to retire and a plan to get there. Now, extreme frugality might sound like a task that you're willing to take on, especially if it means retiring 20 years or more way ahead of schedule. But for others, it's an unrealistic possibility either based on their current situation or the lifestyle that they want to enjoy. So is it possible then to still retire young without being so frugal? Well, for many of us, the one thing that's holding us back from achieving that early retirement is that dreaded four-letter word, debt. We're now in 2020 and we're currently in the midst of a pandemic. In March and April alone this year, we lost over 3 million jobs, and our unemployment rate increased to almost 14%. But even before any of this, we already owed $1.77 on average for every single dollar that we made, meaning we're spending more than we're making. So what can we do to turn the ship around and eventually become debt-free and retire early? For many of us, it means focusing on spending a little less and paying down our debt sooner than later. So today I'm going to show you how it is possible to retire early on a realistic plan, and I'm also going to show you why it's not always the right choice to focus on paying your highest interest debts first. Instead, I'm going to show you why sometimes it can make more sense to do the complete opposite of what we normally hear when talking about becoming debt-free and retiring early. So today I'm going to show you two different strategies that you can use to pay off your debt, so you can live more stress-free based on your own terms. Whether that be retiring years ahead of schedule on a frugal lifestyle, or still retiring early but on much more flexible terms. So let's start by meeting the two people in our story today, both who became mortgage-free years ahead of schedule, and retired early but did it two completely different ways. Eric is single and in his late 20s. He just bought a house and he works a steady job in marketing, making $120,000 a year. Linda is also single, works in the high-tech space, and also makes about the same. Both Eric and Linda each have the goal of paying down their debt and getting rid of their mortgages early, with the hopes of being able to retire well before the age of 65, and ideally even before 55 if possible. Unlike Linda, Eric loves tracking his savings and expenses in strict detail, and for him, paying the least amount of interest and fees over his lifetime is a win, because that is the key to him reaching his financial goals. In fact, he's even willing to give up weekly coffee with his coworkers, eating out on a Friday night, and even traveling out of the city if it means he can reach his goals even faster. When paying down his debt, Eric is all about the Debt Avalanche method. With the Debt Avalanche method, you focus all of your energy on tackling the highest interest debts first until you eventually pay everything off, regardless of the size of each of your loans. The idea here is to pay the least amount of interest possible over the lifetime of your debt, so you can pay it off as fast as possible. Linda, on the other hand, doesn't mind spending extra money each week on things like eating out or traveling. Like Eric though, while she loves her job, she hates seeing so much of her monthly check going towards paying down her mortgage, when she'd rather be using that money to travel and see the world. Linda lives by the debt snowball method, because for her, increasing her monthly discretionary spending is more important than paying less interest over time. With the debt snowball method, you focus on paying down your smallest balances first until you eventually pay everything off, even if that means starting by paying down your lowest interest rate loan first. Linda will likely spend more interest over time than Eric, but she will increase the amount of money she has left over each month sooner as she quickly pays off her smallest debts first. Now, there isn't a right or wrong way here when we're looking at Eric and Linda. Both of them are right. They're both trying to pay off their debt and make sure that they're set up for a comfortable retirement. In fact, they're both trying to retire early, just in two different ways. When they get there and what life will be like for each of them along the way will look a little different. So let's see what life is like for Eric and when he'll eventually be mortgage-free and retired. Eric is 25 and his biggest debt right now is his mortgage. He pays $14.20 a month towards it, and if nothing changes, he'll be mortgage-free by the time he turns 50. He also has a few other payments that he needs to make on a monthly basis. He did purchase a new car this year, which cost him $565 a month, but at 0% financing. He also has about $2,500 left on his credit card from when he was in between jobs. Being that Eric hates paying interest, he will focus any extra money he has to paying that credit card off as soon as possible, before tackling any of his other debts. After paying all of his loans, home expenses, and necessities like food, internet, and so on, Eric has about $34,000 left over each year that he can put towards savings and paying down his debts faster. Now, to keep things simple, we're going to assume that Linda is in the exact same position as Eric, and also has about $34,000 a year to work with. So let's see how much different life would be if you decide to take Eric's path and live very conservatively while also paying down your most expensive debts first, versus Linda, who's going to pay down her smaller balances first to free up some extra money each month, but will also be spending more money every year on eating out or traveling. With $34,000 left over, Eric can easily pay off his credit card this year and still have plenty of money left to go towards his next highest interest debt, his mortgage. He can also start growing his investment accounts so he can retire as early as possible. Eric is excellent with numbers and planning, so he knows that he's going to need about $35,000 after tax and retirement to live well and travel. At an income of $120,000, he'll benefit from investing in both an RSP and a tax-free savings account. If you're still trying to figure out whether an RSP or TFSA makes more sense for you, we have a really great video all about that, so make sure you check that out afterwards. Eric decides to make a $15,000 deposit into his RSP to reduce his income taxes. He'll then split whatever is left between his TFSA and his mortgage. Once Eric files his taxes and gets the refund for making that RSP deposit, he'll automatically redirect it to his mortgage every single year to pay it down that much faster. With this strategy, Eric will have his credit card paid off this year, his mortgage will be paid off in less than 10 years, and he'll be retired in his early 40s. To get there though, Eric was extremely frugal and chose not to buy many items out of what was necessary. He didn't buy another car, and he also decided to hold off on traveling until he stopped working. Any extra money that he got once he paid off his debts was automatically redirected to either his mortgage or his investment accounts, which means his lifestyle spending didn't change much between the age of 25 and now. Had he chosen to purchase a less expensive car and home, he likely could have even retired well before 40 with such a frugal lifestyle. Linda, on the other hand, decides to take a more lenient approach so she can still have a bit of extra spending money each month. Staying true to the debt snowball method, she's going to focus on paying down her smallest debts first, which in this case will be her credit card. This year, Linda pays off her credit card just like Eric, but decides even though her car loan is at 0% financing, if she can get that paid off sooner, it's going to free up $565 a month right away, which she can spend however she likes. Linda decides to spend her $34,000 a year as follows: $16,000 between her TFSA and her RSP, $2,500 onto her credit card, and $5,500 onto her car loan to get that paid off as soon as possible. The remainder of her money will be slowly spent on travel, entertainment, and eating out over the course of the year, instead of focusing on paying down her mortgage. On this plan, her credit card is paid off this year, and her car will be fully paid off in a little over 2 years. Once her car is paid off, she now has that $565 a month, which she's going to be directing towards her mortgage. On this plan, Linda will be mortgage-free at age 41. Assuming nothing changes, she's going to have about the same amount in her investments as Eric by the time she reaches 48, which means she will be working 5 years longer than him. So while she wasn't as frugal as him, she was still able to be completely debt-free in 16 years and retired before 50. What this shows us is two things. If you can be more conservative with your money, you can definitely shave off more than a few years of working and achieve an early retirement. But it also shows us that it is possible to have that balance between a lifestyle you enjoy and still reaching your financial goals. If you're working towards a debt-free journey or early retirement, comment below so we can see what you guys are doing to reach your financial goals. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next week.